know, if I found any problems or what was going on with the tuning or if there was any issues when we fly. But let me charge everything up, guys, and let's go fly this thing in the park. Okay guys, we're at the park, beautiful day. We're only getting about maybe at the most 5-mile-per-hour winds, mainly coming from this direction. It's kind of variable. So we should have a really good flight today. We're gonna test out this Wizard 220S and see how it does. One thing to note, it seemed like they had kind of a little bit weird modes here. They're only configured to the actual knobs. So kind of weird the way they have it. I tried to configure the switches, but unfortunately none of the switches seem to be actually configurable in the controller, so I couldn't even put it to a switch. So a little bit weird, but I think I have it on the right knob. We're gonna see how that all works out. Anyway, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do 2 flights. We're gonna do a line of sight where I'm gonna just kind of fly it with without the FPV goggles on, see how it performs with this hat cam so you guys can see the performance. And then I'm gonna slip on another battery. We're gonna use one of these R-Line 2.0 Tattoo 100C batteries, 1300. So these are supposed to be pretty powerful. So I'm going to have one of these for the line of sight, and then I'm going to use one for the FPV. And then for the FPV, we're actually using the new SkyZone V Plus goggles. Just got these in, and these actually have the capability to do 3D if you wanted to. They give you a 3D video transmitter here you can put on your quad, and also this 3D FPV camera. I'm not going to be using this today. Maybe in a future review I'll be checking that out. But pretty cool. These have a scanner in them too, so these may replace my Amways. I'm not sure. They also have a camera on the front, so you don't have to take them off and you can switch cameras. The one thing I didn't see on these is there's no fan, so hopefully they don't fog up. We'll be kind of reviewing these as we fly this Wizard today. And so for the Wizard, I'm also going to be using the RunCam 3. This one is, you know, they kind of advertise it flying with the RunCam 3 because it's a cheaper option to the GoPro Hero Session. So I'm going to, after the line of sight, I'm going to slap this RunCam 3 on there, and then we'll do the FPV. I'll be recording the FPV goggles. I'll be recording this RunCam also and giving you some live commentary through the flight. So anyway, let's get started with our line of sight flight first. Okay, cool. So I got the battery in. So this thing's great because they give you that really sticky rubber tab here that's actually glued to the quad itself. So this battery is really not going to go anywhere as long as you tighten it down nice and tight. So of course the camera's off for this flight. I'm hoping that these Velcro straps aren't going to get hit. They're super close for this camera mount. I'm just going to leave it on for the line of sight. We'll see how it performs. See if it nicks or hits these before our FPV flight. Anyway, controller on first, guys. So powering up the quad here. Okay, let that thing go through its boot up process and we are ready to go. So the left knob I have configured for all the way left is unarmed. You see how I can't do anything with it. And then I have it for the middle. You hear how it's beeping? So that's the lost beeper alarm. And then I have it all the way to the right is actually armed, and I just saw the lights on the back turn blue. So now it's armed, and I want this knob all the way to the left. It should be my stabilized mode. So you can see that the propellers are not spinning when I'm off the throttle, so these will cut off unless you configure it to stay on. So looking good. You can see that this one has blinkers, kind of cool. I'm not sure if I forget if I configured this in Betaflight or if it was already stock, but anyway, it's configurable. I'm rolling left and the left blinker's coming on, rolling right, right blinker, pushing forward and the top lights are going on, pushing back and the rear lights are flashing yellow. So it looks pretty good. So let's do a little bit of performance test now that we have a fresh battery first off. And you can see that it is self-leveling. When I let off the stick, it's self-leveling. Let's see if I'm right in the way I configured this on my right roller. If I turn it all the way to the right, yeah, so that's air or acro mode. I forget which one I configured it out. I think it was air mode. I guess we'll find out if I land it, if it still spins the propellers. Yeah, so that's actually air mode. You see how it's still spinning the propellers? Cool, so if I want to get out of that, I just turn my knob all the way to the left. Still armed, but this is stabilized mode. All right, cool, let's do a punch test, guys. So we still got fresh battery. From a hover to full throttle up right now. So this tattoo, man, batteries are super high performance. Let's do a full throttle forward and pitch forward. First off, let's see what our pitch maximums are. So full pitch forward. So it's looking like it's about maybe, I want to say 35 degrees. So kind of perfect for the camera, 35, 40 degrees. And same with the roll, 35, 40 degrees until it stops you in self-leveling mode. Of course, air mode is you're gonna have full acro control. Okay, so full stick forward and full throttle right now. Woo! That is fast, guys. Coming back, I'm seeing that red light flash like crazy. Yeah, actually, they're flashing really fast now. You can do full stick back. Oh, interesting. Okay. This should have a beeper on it, so when it starts beeping, we'll be doing our. We'll start landing it anyway. Okay, so our yaw. Let's see what the speed of the yaw is. I'm getting some wind coming from this direction, so that's why it's. You see how it's going back on its own? It's just blowing with the wind. This doesn't have any GPS lock, of course. Okay, so yaw control, let's see the speed. So yaw stick all the way right. That's a reasonable yaw. Great beginner, you know, yaw speed. Not too fast, not too slow. I think it's just right for like an intermediate flyer. Let's do another punch test. That was just so crazy, wasn't it? Full throttle up right now. Uh-oh. Ooh. So did you see that? That, for some reason, it lost its orientation up there in the sky. And it would not self-level. So maybe a prop or something? Let's check it out. Again, I can disarm it with this knob all the way to the left. If I need to turn on the beeper, push my knob to the middle. And you can hear it beeping. Okay, we found it. And here we are. So what happened there, man? That was crazy, wasn't it? That thing fell. I was trying to save it. Like I was trying to throttle it up and punch it, and it just kept spinning out of control. So be very careful with that. Not sure what happened there. Looks like I bent couple of props here, so let me replace these guys. Looks like this prop in the front bent. I'm not sure what bent from just flying and what bent from the crash. Probably mostly from the crash. But the original version of the Wizard, guys, I should mention, had issues with its propellers being brittle, and they would just break off in normal high-speed flight. So I might want to put some different propellers on this. I'm going to try one more time with the stock propellers they give you, since they give you so many. But check this out, no damage. You can see where it hit the grass. There's some scratching on the motor guards. That flew from pretty darn high. That was, gosh, around 75 feet tumbling, and nothing at all is wrong with it. Antenna's still good. Front's still good. All the arms are fine. So it may have lessened it a little bit since it was kind of fumbling down and I was giving it throttle. Anyway, let me put some new propellers on and try this again. Okay guys, so that was pretty darn weird. So I've got two new props on. Just the counterclockwise props were the only ones that were really bent. These ones have some slight little stress marks, but really nothing. They're not bent at all. So I'm just going to kind of leave them on. So I'm hoping it's just the props and not something wrong with the flight control or something. Well, let's just give it a go again with the regular props, and then we'll try some different props if that doesn't solve our problem. Okay, so let's try this again. Arming. Yeah, it seems fine. I think it must have been a prop. Let's try that punch again. See if it falls out of the sky. Seems okay. I don't know what that was. Anyway, it survived. 2 bend props on that huge fall. Let me switch into acro. So dial all the way to the right. And let's try a couple of flips and stuff, see how fast it flips before we slap on the goggles. Nice. So not super quick, but you know, manageable. Yeah, that's actually a good speed for learning FPV. You can see how I'm just punching it and pushing the right stick all the way forward till it levels out. So cool, seems to be doing pretty good. Seems like the roll and the pitch are both the same speed. There's a double front flip. You see a double roll here. 1, 2, nice. 1, 2, 3. Woo! So it's a little more tough for me to fly acro line of sight. Let's try just a couple of throttle on kind of rolls, arch rolls, and then we'll pop on the goggles. Yeah. Kind of a throttle on forward flip. Not hearing any beeping yet. That's good. Even when I punch it, still no beeping. That's great. All right, well, it's definitely flying really nice. I'm gonna switch back into stabilize. Right roller all the way to the left. Seems like it's leveled a little weird. It's pulling back a little too much. So something I may have done wrong. I think what happened was when I was trying to first start it, I think there's a way you can level it with the sticks by bringing both sticks down and in or down and out. And I think I accidentally set it for level on that launch pad. And the launch pad was actually a little bit unlevel to the back. So that's why it thinks its level is a little to the back. So I shouldn't have done that. That's my bad. But I can always re-level it at home on a perfectly level surface. Or if you bring a level with you, you can always do that. So I want to fly this until the battery is beeping, and oh gosh, it's getting really weak. Look at this. Oh my goodness. I hope I didn't ruin my battery. No beeper. No low voltage beeper. I better unplug this really quick. That's a bummer, man. Okay, I don't know what was up with that, but it got really sluggish, like it was out of power. So be careful with that. I could have sworn this thing was supposed to have a low level battery beeper. Maybe I messed with some of the settings and shut it off by accident. Anyway guys, let me know, comment in the description below, in the comments actually, and let me know if yours beeps on low level, or if possibly I did something and accidentally turned that off. That could be kind of risky, might ruin your batteries if it doesn't have a low level beeper. But hopefully the FPV does have a voltage, so I'll be able to see that in the goggles. So let me slap on these Sky Zones, these new ones I got, the V Plus, and see how they do, and I'll be recording everything for you so you can see how it does with the goggles on. Okay guys, and before I put the goggles on, I just want to go through one thing really quick. This other propeller, I replaced 2 already. This one seems like it might be a little bent from the vibration. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys how to do these propellers. The ones it comes with are really tight to get on. If you try to push them on directly, you might break something, or you might get frustrated and give up. So what I would do is use the threading as a starter. You see how I'm unscrewing it? Of course, the counterclockwise will be the opposite way. But with these purple propellers they give you, you have to kind of use the threads to get them on, and I'll show you that right now. Let me grab a new one here. Of course, I want to grab the right direction. That looks right. You want the top edge to be facing into the front or the back, depending on which motor it is. So you see, this is a regular clockwise motor with a silver cap across the other clockwise. If I just try to push these on, these will not go on, so you're gonna have to screw these on like this, and then when you reach the bottom, just give it another twist and it'll kind of loosen it up a little bit, and you'll know that you're all the way on the motor, and then you can put your motor nut on. So So just a little bit of a tidbit with this, because at first I almost gave up when I first got this and I was trying to push the propellers on. I was really frustrated, so make sure you twist them on with the thread. Okay, let's start up the Run Cam 3 here. It just slides into the side of the mount, no problem. And I am going to be recording this in 1080 30 frames per second only. Let's sit down here and get these Sky Zone goggles on. And I'm hoping the interface in the goggles also records, because I want to show you the scan function if it does. I'm not sure if it will, but let's put these on and give it a try. Okay, so it looks like when I'm recording I can't get into the search menu, but there is a search menu. Basically you just press and hold that top big button, the silver button on the top of the goggles, and press it again and it will actually search through all the channels and give you the strongest channel. So it does have a search function on these. I am noticing I have these on my face now, and they're not super comfortable with the stock band they give. They do give you some other foam and another 3-band strap. And I'm already seeing maybe a slight bit of fog in these just because it's a really calm day. But I should take off as soon as possible. Unfortunately, these have no fan in them. So anyway, I'm holding the left dial all the way to the right. You see how it said armed? And unfortunately I have no voltage or anything, so we'll see how this thing does. I'm going to start off in stabilize mode. You can see on the bottom middle of the screen we have stabilize. We're going to launch here and I'm going to switch right away into air mode. So get a little bit of height, switch all the way into air. I think you saw in the middle is actually acro, so you have air and acro mode on this thing. So I'm just going to stay in air mode for now. Do some flying around, see how it is. It is feeling really nice and smooth. You can see how the video is pretty good. A little bit of break up there. Whoa, when I went behind that tree. And that's going to happen with pretty much, you know, any kind of quad you have. So I'm just going to kind of cruise around nice and easy, and then we'll try to hit some of these goalposts. Just want to get a feel for it first. But it is feeling really good, you know. Just gonna whip it around. I don't want to go behind this tree much because there's people over there. Yikes, I don't want to go over those people either. So I'm gonna stay in the park here and just kind of fly around me and do some goalpost flying and stuff. Let's see if we can thread the needle here. There we go. Whip it back around. I thought the video might be a little better. It's a little bit scratchy. Again, I'll have that run cam up so you guys can see how that's looking. Let's just try to whip it around here. Come through, whip it back around, go under this goalpost again. Woo! A little bit rusty. I haven't flown FPV for a while. I've been concentrating on some of the more of the GPS quads and stuff, but I'm doing well enough, you know. There's some shadows here. And let's try to get back under this goalpost. There we go. Yeah, wow, this is doing really good, guys. It's feeling nice. I was behind my head there. You could see how the video was kind of scratchy. And that's how it is with, gosh, those dogs are just going off again. Sorry about that. It's handling really smooth though. I'm gonna go to maybe 4 minutes. You see how I got fly minutes on the right there? That's kind of the only time I can kind of judge right now. Whoa, that might have been a crash test right there. Woo! Nice. Back up, pulling out. Woo! It's flying good though, guys. I'm gonna go to 4 minutes and then bring it close because there's no beeper on this, unfortunately. I don't know what happened. I was gonna try that goalpost, but there's people over there. I don't want to crash right into them. Whoa, that was just about a crash. Whoa, getting kind of scratchy. Okay, I'm gonna kind of start wrapping it up, but this thing is feeling really nice and smooth. Again, I'm not a pro flyer, but it's doing really well. So for, you know, somebody's first quad, Yeah, getting really sluggish. Coming back in. I'm gonna land it. Okay. Oh, disarm. See how the props are still spinning? So when you're in air mode, you got to disarm real quick if you land in air mode, or else they'll keep spinning and going crazy. So let me get this, and that was a great flight. Really impressed with this one, aside from a couple of those first line of sight issues. Let's check it out. Let's get it and do a pros and cons. Okay, guys. So that was a great flight. Of course, to turn off the Run Cam 3, just press it once to stop recording, and then press and hold the top button. And that turns the whole camera off. And the sky zones too, I'm not sure if they do power off save, so make sure you stop your recording on these before you unplug the power. The power is right there where you plug in. But pretty good goggles. I'm just a little bit worried about having no fan. They actually did not fog up on me, and usually a pair of goggles like this will fog up in this hot. I'm in Hawaii right now, and these conditions are pretty humid here and hot. It's maybe about 85 degrees and fairly humid today. And I thought they were gonna fog up, but no fogging, so that's good. But let's talk about the Wizard 220S, guys. A really good introduction quad. You can see how strong it was for the line of sight. I was way up there. I must have been like 75 to 100 feet. And I just punched it up, remember that? And it started to go like flutter down, and I was trying to punch it throttle to maybe level it out again. I think one of the propellers integrity it kind of bent or something, because these propellers are known to not be so good that Ishin gives with these quads. The standard Wizard, I don't know if you guys saw my review of that one, but two of their propellers, when I put 4S in it, just disintegrated in air at full throttle. So this one didn't do that. They did pretty good. I was full throttling it a couple times, and they seemed to hold out. But yeah, that one punch out, I'm really not sure what that was, but it didn't seem to do it again. The one thing I didn't test on this is, you see there's an SD card in there. I didn't even touch base on that. So supposedly there's a DVR in here that you can possibly record this with, but normally people have FPV goggles that use this, and it's always good to have a DVR on your goggles. So if you lose your quad or something, you can actually check the recording on your goggles, because if it's recording on here and this is lost, you're not going to know where that is until you pull out the SD card. So it's good to have a set of goggles, and these ones did pretty well. These may be replacing my Amways. I'm not too sure yet. I'm gonna do a couple more reviews with these and see how they do. If they fog up at all, that's going to be the deciding factor to me, because there is apparently no fan on these, so I'll have to do it a little bit more with those. But as you can see, guys, great strength, great speed, very smooth tune. What they gave it in air mode, I was flying in air mode mainly, exclusively in my FPV flight. Just wasn't stabilized just to launch, and I immediately switched into air. You can see how I had set this thing up. I kind of forgot how I had set it up, because it was a few days ago when I did my unboxing part. But you can see how I actually have this knobbed into 3 modes. So this is stabilized here, and you can do all this in beta flight. And then in the middle, you can see it change on the screen really quick before I went to air mode. It was going to acro. Anyway, that's the way you do it. None of these other switches will work, so that's a con on this one. Just these 2 knobs are working. Even if you configure them in the menu, I couldn't find out a way how to get these switches working. So that's the only con on this controller. The range was great for this park, all the way across the park. You know, on the other side of that tree is at least 100 yards I was going, so no hiccups there. And I've had the camera up, the Run Cam 3. This one is kind of advertised with this cheap Run Cam 3 because it is kind of a budget system here. Of course, this battery is not a budget battery. This is a Tattoo R-Line. I just wanted to test these because I got a few of them. And by the way, if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, I will have the links down in the description below the video. So check out those links to see what the pricing is and more of the specs on this. It had plenty of power, even with this battery and the camera on. Of course, not as much punch as if you aren't using a camera that adds a few ounces of weight. So, and just be careful with the Velcro strap here. It's really close to the propellers. I've only got like a couple millimeters, and you can see how this one actually hit that a couple times. Probably because these motors are actually soft mounted, so there are rubber grommets or rubber pads underneath these motors to try to mitigate vibration. What you really want to do with this one is you want to tighten all the screws. Make sure when you first get it, make sure all the screws are tight and Loctited before you even fly it. Because with the first version, the standard Wizard 220, I had problems with screws falling out and all kinds of stuff. So I learned my lesson on that one. And you know, that's kind of how it is. You save some money, and then they kind of cut corners on QCing. So you kind of have to do kind of some of the QCing yourself. Whenever you see something this cheap and this good, there's usually a reason. And so maybe that's why they don't really spend a lot of time QCing and making sure all the screws are tight. So make sure you do that. FPV was great. As you could see, no voltage. So a little bit of a con there. Would have liked to see the voltage. I'm not sure if it's something I didn't configure right in beta flight, but I just left that stuff alone. All I did is configure my modes. So, and the beeper, gosh, that was a big con to me too. Since there was no voltage, it didn't know what the voltage was, and this beeper wasn't working. So whether that's how it was out of the factory or something I just didn't turn on in beta flight, I would like to see that capability just out of the box, because this is more geared towards beginner FPV flyers that want something cheap, and to see if they're going to want to even go into this size of FPV after they've been training on something a little bit smaller. So other than those couple of shortcomings, pretty darn good, man. It's way better than the first one. The way they tuned it is a lot smoother. It feels like it's more controllable and easier, and it definitely has more power, and it's definitely stronger. As you can see, man, this thing just held up to that crazy drop out of the sky. A couple of bent props. That's all that happened to this one. But I hope you guys enjoyed that full review of the Eachine Wizard X220S. Anyway guys, links in the description. Check this stuff out if you're interested, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.